Hello and welcome to another episode of Staying Power, a show that is all about building a better life. And really, that's what we do every single day. When we get up, whatever we're doing, we try to build a better life. We come together once a week to talk about one way you can do that. We hope that it resonates with you and you can take away some things that you can apply right away in your life, just like we try to do every single week. Who's we? Well, if you're brand new, you have no idea, right? So to give you some idea, I am JDK Winnigan. Here with me in the studio is my friend, my co-host, so many things. But really, in the end, she's really defined by who she is, not in her relationship to me. Ashley Kniebel. Hi, Ashley.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you. Good week going on?
It's a great week.
Great week? That's good.
Sunny outside and I'm above ground. It's a good week.
That's right. Right. It's always a good way to start.
Right.
Every single day.
Yep.
Right. Sunny and above ground. Okay. All right. So if you are a first-time listener to the show, well, first of all, welcome. Second, you got a lot of episodes that you can kind of dig back into in our catalog, and you can get that as a podcast wherever you get your podcast. You can also watch video episodes at our YouTube channel, Staying Power Show. Find out more about us at our radio home, 1150 AM KKNW. And in all of those locations, you can find all the ways to communicate with us through the show notes. stayingpowershow@gmail.com is our email. We have connections on Instagram. You can direct message us. Lots of different ways. More to come in the days ahead. We would love to hear from you, get your ideas, get your feedback, have conversation. And who knows, maybe some of it's going to end up on the air.
Never know.
Never know. It has happened before. Okay. So, Ashley.
Yes.
The other night, I was sitting at home, and it was about 10:45 at night.
Mm-hmm.
And most of my friends are already usually asleep by that point, right? I'm the night owl in my
your little group.
And I'm actually better now. I mean, I was getting ready to go to bed at 10:45.
Mm-hmm.
And the most amazing thing happened that very rarely happens. I got a text from you.
Yes, you
at
did.
10:45.
Yeah.
And my first thought was going to be like,
oh, no.
What's going on? Why are you awake? Are you all right?
Sure.
But it was actually, you sent me an article
Mm-hmm.
that was a very interesting article. And you said, if I remember correctly, wow, this one resonates a little bit or hits close to home something like that. And it was about, I don't know, it's an easy way to say it's about different expectations for men and women, but it was different than that. That's what I want to talk about this week.
Okay.
Is based off of that. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yes. It was like a Substack.
Okay. You also didn't text me back when I commented on that. So you must have just gone right to bed.
Probably was like, well, D&D. Good night.
I dropped this bomb on him. He's wondering. No.
I'll keep him up for a while.
Anyway.
I found this, and it might be something we can put in the show notes for those who are interested in it. And I kind of stumbled across it online, and it's someone who's writing I just recently started reading. But she brought up this topic, and it was just it resonated a lot. And it was how, like, when people are born, men and women are born, they're both handed a clock, and the clock looks very different. And how women's clock starts where we start at, like, once you grow beyond childhood, of course, like into your early adult years, that is your prime. When you're young, you're healthy, you're supple, you're
vibrant,
everything. Yes, like you're really healthy, like you look so good in every aspect of life. Everything is just going for you.
Or that's the expectation.
And that's the expectation usually. Is like in your early to mid 20s, like it's your prime years. And as you get older, the things that society values depletes and it starts to fade. Yes, right. If you're a woman, as you get older, like we get gray hair, people don't really look at that like it's a great thing. We're so worried about like our skin getting more wrinkly and like not looking so young and healthy and like all these different things.
You've raised your kids, right?
You raised your kids, right? If you had kids and you had them naturally, like then you have to deal with what motherhood looks like on the other side for you, both physically and emotionally, and all the effects from that, and then learning how to juggle all the different stages of life after that, and how in that process you gain so much stuff that you could only gain through going through life, through experience. Like you have so much wisdom and knowledge and experience, and your capacity to handle things and carry so much responsibility is so massive. You are incredibly valuable later in life. But all the things that are valuable about you are deemed not important.
Right.
They're not worthy.
Right.
Really.
You have
anymore.
to find that. In order for you to do that as a woman, you have to be willing to embrace that.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you just see it like men always look towards the younger women, right? They don't usually look at older women. They are attracted to younger ones. And I understand that's DNA and wiring, but they don't pause to think like, wow, she's probably she's very smart. She can really assert herself. All these things about us that we have learned through the times. Wherein opposite, as men get older, they're in their prime later. Mm-hmm. And how it's like, oh, just wait till you start getting a little silver fox. Mm-hmm. People are going to respect you more. You're going to look very wise.
Yeah. Esteemed.
Yes, right? You age like fine wine. You look better when you're older. And then there's the assumption that you have been successful. So as you're older, you have more assets, you have more wealth, and you've accumulated more value that way. And people admire that and they pursue that. Mm-hmm. And it for me felt so true because I'm like, even now, and I'm only 35, I'm like, people don't look at me the same way they did when I was in my early 20s. Mm-hmm. I look at myself way better now than I did in my early 20s, meaning that I see the value that I have and all the things I've learned and how much I've grown as a person.
Right.
And I know myself as an individual is much more valuable now than I was back then. Mm-hmm. But on the outside, people preferred back then.
Right. And you're aware of that expectation.
Totally
right?
aware.
So as you grow in that and choose that approach, you're still cognizant of the lessening going the other way as you get older.
Yes.
Right.
It is a very strange experience.
Yeah. And what was interesting about reading the piece, so we will put it up.
Okay.
What was interesting about reading the piece was in reading about the men's side of things, it is true, and yet what's interesting is for me, I'm entering that phase, right? The other day when I was getting my hair cut, right? My hairdresser, who I've had for years, she's like, oh, you got that silver fox thing is starting to happen. Yeah. And, and everybody's laughing about it, like, oh yeah, I love the silver, and I recalled that to me. And what's interesting about that is for me, I don't identify myself as successful. We talked about this last week, right? I don't really identify myself as successful. I identify myself more and more as potentially being successful the way I want to be. Mm-hmm. So I end up feeling like I'm not, like I'm a sham as I get older and people might be viewing me this way. I kind of view myself. I'm aware of that expectation, but I'm also aware how different it is for women, right? Whereas for men, the automatic default is, oh, he's older, he's healthier, he must have a lot of wisdom, he's doing a lot of things like that. You don't have people saying, well, he's already raised his kids, and so, there's nothing else for him to do.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Or what are they going to do next?
Fulfilled your purpose.
Right. That purpose. Yeah. Right. And it struck me that both sides of that can end up having real kind of tension with those things, right, in the end. But the fact that it affected you so much got me thinking about that as a topic for today. Because it's kind of its own pressure, isn't it?
Sure.
Because just as you said, hey, I see my value so much more now, and I'm, you're willing to be defiant against that expectation. For many women and for many men the other direction, the need, the drive to have to make that happen, to stay relevant or to meet those expectations, not only becomes overwhelming, it can actually control somebody's life. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and my goodness, you see examples of it everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Like we talked about recently about like money, but you see probably more often men buying really expensive things, possessions that have a monetary value on them to make them look like they're more successful, that they have a lot of resources, that they are an attractive, safe provider person. And then you have, and we're just playing into our natural DNA, right? Like that's what you want to protect, provide, and people want to look like, and women want to look like we're attractive and young and able to reproduce. Men
want to show they can prove themselves.
Of course.
They can provide. Right?
Yes. But I mean, that's like women are now, Botox and plastic surgery and all these like insane improvements. There used to be just a couple, and now we have like widened the spectrum of like what you can do with yourself to make yourself look younger.
Yeah.
And that only exists because people had an insecurity or they saw it as a fault. Yeah. Otherwise, why would you want to fix it in the first place?
Right.
Why would you impersonate something you're no longer?
Right. Right.
That chapter closed. Why are we trying to go back and reread it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No. And it's interesting because on men's side, the idea of you got to prove yourself, got to prove your usefulness.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. So it's funny. I think cars show a lot, right? Beyond a certain point, I do have this larger theory. Beyond a certain point, cars are an expression of vanity over anything else. They're useful, important. It's nice to have a comfortable one. It's nice to have a nice one. It's not even better to have a reliable one. Mm-hmm. At some point, you're really getting into the vanity zone if it's like, the real high end cars. Right?
Honestly, how you take care of your car
says
way more. Is it clean on the inside and the outside?
Right.
It doesn't have to be a showstopper car, but if it's like actually clean, you don't have junk and crumbs everywhere on the inside, and it's washed, that says so much more.
Says a lot.
You.
Right. Yeah. It says a lot. For men, but also big trucks, right? Big utility trucks. A man's being able to say, I can fix things. I can do things.
I can tow things.
I can pick up heavy things, right? I can do these things. I'm a tough guy. These are all messages about needing to prove one's value. Mm-hmm. And it's two different types of value, but it's still the same types of pushes, right? I think women have the much more difficult one, frankly. Series of messages, I think. Some people might disagree with that, but
no, I mean, I think there might be something there, and not because it's a personal, like, oh, I can see that, but because you see nowadays, like, women are constantly feeling like they have to prove themselves, and looks is only one way, and so that's why now all of a sudden women are like reaching as far as they can in their occupational fields and trying to accomplish so much and achieve so much, and some just have a natural drive for it, and I think that's fantastic and worth celebrating, but overall there just seems to be a picture of like, oh, they have to figure out some other way to make themselves really stand out,
right,
and be valuable,
and how do they have to behave, right? The immediate cultural expression of that. The Devil Wears Prada.
Oh, yes.
Right? Meryl Streep's character.
Yeah.
How does she have to be? She has to be a monster.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
A dragon, right? In fashionable clothing. That's the expectation, right? You have to do that, right? So that's the message is, oh, you can do all that, but watch out, you might lose your soul.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
You have to sell your soul to earn that.
Exactly.
Like, so you're really losing more.
Right.
In striving to gain something in the beginning that was just trying to equal out the scales that society has chosen to unequal.
Right. And if you flip that around and you take a male version of that, somebody who's successful, like the TV show Billions. I don't know if you ever watched that.
I have not, but I've heard of it.
The guys that are making all these money are billionaires, are so insecure because they know deep down they're just really good with numbers and they're ethically very clouded.
Sure.
And they might morally be compromised, but they have to prove their own value in this way. And of course, it's all completely self-destructive. And what happens? They lose everything they care about. Right? They're always running a risk. There's kind of that story all the time, right? And so it's not, to me, that we're not really talking about something that is about blame or anything like that. These are the cultural lenses through which we live our lives. Nathan and I were actually talking during the break. Different places find different ways of doing this, right? The things we're talking about here don't exist universally in every single country on earth, right? These are cultural lenses that we're talking about. So in our context, there's that. So I think this might just be a good thing to talk about. I'd like to hear about how this plays out for you.
Okay.
I did some looking into some of this. Wanted to see what experts out there talked about. And then, of course, we'll have some ways of talking, some practical ways of going about it. So this idea of different clocks, I like this.
Okay.
So generally speaking, we're talking about, do you think the big one for women is needing to stay beautiful?
Yes.
That's the big one. Okay. And what do you think about this?
What else would it be?
I don't know. No, that's why I'm asking you.
That yes. Really
okay.
Is what I would say.
Would you say the big one for men is, being able to prove yourself, living up to this standard of distinguished and accomplished and contributing? Is that?
Yes, I would say probably accomplished and capability of being able to provide.
Yeah. Whatever that means.
Yeah. Because like most people probably imagine like financially, right?
Yeah.
especially from like a woman's perspective, is like you look to the man to provide. Like he provides you a home, he provides you with financial stuff so you can take care of the home and, all like the natural stuff, go get the groceries and make food. And those are like very traditional ideas, right? But those are innate.
Right.
So just as like men are going to look for what's attractive, women are going to look for what's attractive, but that doesn't always mean physically.
Right. It can mean capability.
Yes.
Right. Security.
Yes. Actually, I mean,
provision.
You can see that so many times. Like, how many times have people joke all the time? You see, like, what somebody would deem as an unattractive male. Maybe not physically, like his face isn't, like, exotic. He's kind of average looking. And he's not super fit. But he has a lot of resources. And he's got a bombshell walking next to him. And everyone's like, oh, my gosh, he must be really funny.
Right, he must be really funny.
And maybe he is really funny. He has a great personality.
And you know what guys are saying? That guy's out kicking his coverage.
What do you mean by that?
That means like he's punching above it, above his weight.
Oh,
like
sure.
He's got something he,
yeah.
is not
Well, then there's
league.
always always like the assumption like, oh, she's digging for something there, right? Like if he's wealthy, like, oh, that makes sense.
That's funny. Yeah.
But it's true. You see that, and it is definitely like a pressure, and at some point it's just kind of, it's strange because I don't know what to do with it when that realization finally hits you. And maybe I say this because that realization has kind of hit me recently, that all of a sudden for the first time I'm starting to feel that. And I was like, okay, well, there's no handbook for life, so I'm just rolling with it.
Right.
I don't personally do a lot of reconstructive stuff to myself. I don't do Botox. I don't do fillers, like anything like that. I've only had one surgery and that's it. And everything else is natural. And I like that. I would prefer to stay that way.
Right.
But I understand it really comes at a price. But then again, I'm like, but do I care about that price? Do I need the attention from people? Just because I don't have a lot of people giving me attention doesn't mean I'm less valuable, and maybe their attention isn't worth anything.
Right. Attention for attention's sake isn't necessarily, what you think it's going to be. Right. There's that. And it is interesting that we live in, an influencer culture that we live in now. You see a lot more of this with men, right? Beauty, like maximizing, beauty maximizing, people in their teens, early 20s getting massive, facial reconstructive surgeries to look a certain way, things like that. And we look at that and we all seem to go, oh, like particularly when it's men doing it, like, oh, what are they doing? But yet with women, there's that double standard of some might go, oh, why is she doing that? But then others are like,
most are like, well, I like the results.
Well, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
When, who knows what the motivation has been, behind that. Yeah, it's interesting. Okay. All right. So this is where we're going to go.
Okay.
It'll be interesting to see where we end up, actually.
All right.
So, all right. Thanks for that. Thank you for joining us here so far on this episode of Staying Power. We're going to go and take a break. When we come back, we'll dig into this a little bit more. Make sure you stick around later on for this week's 2-minute segment. This week, it's 2 Minutes of Terror. You're going to want to stick around to hear the terror stories from this past week that we have. So come on back here on Staying Power. See you in a minute. On Staying Power, we talk a lot about building a better life.
And a big part of that is the space you live in every day.
That's why we're excited to partner with Pars Revive Renovation, helping homeowners across the East Side and Puget Sound create spaces that truly reflect who they are.
Whether it's a kitchen, bathroom, or full home renovation, Pars Revive focuses on thoughtful design, quality craftsmanship, and your unique vision.
Because just like personal growth, your home should evolve with you.
To learn more, visit parsrenovation.com. That's PARS renovation.com and start building a space that supports the life you want to live. Hey JD, do you want to have a better life?
Yeah, doesn't everybody?
Yes, we do. How do I go about doing that?
A good place to start would be listening to our new show, Staying Power.
What's it about?
It's about all the ways we can overcome the challenges that we sometimes put in front of ourselves to live a better life.
Where can I find it?
You can listen to it on 1150 AM KKNW every Wednesday at 4 p.m. and Fridays at 9 a.m. or wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's do this together every week on Staying Power.
Going against the grain has never been this much fun. Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back to Staying Power. JD here with Ashley.
Hello.
We're talking about kind of different expectations for men and women, I guess, in terms of how they age and how we view those things. And I like, Ashley, so far that it's kind of this amorphous, malleable thing that we're recognizing. And it's interesting the degrees to the way the pressure to perform or do a certain thing or behave a certain way is a universal, right? Even though it's coming around in these different clocks, as you talked about. Okay. So let's start out this segment by talking a little bit about some of the research behind this, because this is, where I like to go
always
with these things, take a look at that. Now, it's not going to shock anybody. It's not going to shock you. It's not going to shock anybody listening that social psychologists have repeatedly found in studies that first impressions differ by gender.
Sure.
Right? That we have. Women receive substantially more comments focused on appearance. Men receive substantially more competence-related comments. Right? Think about how children compliment, right? Girls say things like pretty, cute, beautiful. Boys tend to go with strong, smart, big guy, future leader. Those are the big ones that researchers have found, right? Those are the ways we refer, to kids. That's the way they refer to each other. These begin surprisingly early, and when you think about those are some early words that appear in vocabularies.
Yes. I mean, look at children's books.
Right. Right. Yeah, absolutely. So in that sense, now the other thing that they found, the most social psychology has found, is men, generally speaking, don't receive broad social validation until later in life because it's not so appearance-based, right, to start with. So in what ends up happening is many men in their 20s and 30s then try to become worthy of the attention that they have not received already.
I could see that.
Particularly in comparison to women. What job do you have? Is it a good one? Can you build or buy a house? Your income, your status, your confidence, your purpose, all of those things. Only then, when they have those things, can they be seen as successful and worthy of compliments. Now, the flip side is girls are getting compliments earlier in life, but by the time they're moving in 20s and 30s, while men are trying to pull them in, right? Women, they say, are trying to hold on to them to keep them from leaving that type of social validation, right? So making sure you're looking pretty, plastic surgery, whatever they might be, right? That's it. So we're talking about big questions of how human beings understand themselves, how women understand how they're supposed to be, how men understand how they're supposed to be. And if that's how they're going to be, and there's some big differences between them, how they choose to frame them is going to go a long way in how they relate to each other.
Oh, sure. Sure.
Right, with all of them, right? So women receive a lot of external validation earlier in life, but they lose cultural reinforcement a lot sooner, right? Is really what we're getting back to, right? And of course, there's things that women face that men don't, that are so overt, like menopause. Right?
Yeah. Jeez.
Right?
Yes.
Right?
That's huge nowadays.
Massive.
Massive. And rightfully so. I have not gone through menopause yet, but I know people that have. And I'm glad that it's been magnified because it means we're starting to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
But this expectation that you're physically going through something and you can't help it, you can't stop it. You just have to learn how to take care of yourself while your body is making that huge natural shift. And yet there is no leniency. There's no grace given towards it. It's you are expected to button yourself up and put yourself together and show up like you've been every other day.
Yep.
And that's in whatever area we're at. It might be at work. It might be at home. It might be out in social settings, but.
Yep. And alongside it is an identity assignment to that biological process that this is a sign that something about this woman's life she has now passed part of her purpose by.
Yeah.
They're the one, women are the ones who can give birth, can bear children, right? As soon as you no longer have the physical capacity for that, the cultural context that we live in has grafted on, okay, you've lost part of your purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. You're tossed to the wayside.
Yeah.
Go take care of somebody else's, kids. Just help nurture that village.
Yeah. And, you mentioned earlier that, that there's a biological element of men looking towards younger women, right? And it could be like on an instinctual level, right? Because they're younger and virile and blah, 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 blah. To a certain degree, yes. And then I also say, we're not brainless animals, or we don't have to be, right? It doesn't have to be about that, right? You can notice what you notice, but this is the thing about, I'm noticing about getting older, and you start noticing these things a little bit more, right? I've noticed the women in my life going through these types of things, recognizing that things are shifting and how people look at them is shifting. I'm noticing it in my own life, right? How that's shifting for me in a different way. And we do have the capacity to go, okay, yes, younger person over there, I can see that she is more traditionally understood as beautiful. But man, we also have the capacity to look at the person who's next to us who doesn't fit that profile and go, I would much rather spend my time here with this person whose beauty is not just defined by what I see with my eyes, but by what I know with my soul and my time and my words that have been spent and the blood, sweat, and tears that have come with it, right?
I mean,
we do have that capacity. So
if they're willing to invest in
that, right? So a lot of the male clients I work with, I point this out to them, because to me, I can't tell you how many male clients said, well, it's just sort of how we're wired. But we aren't wired.
Yes.
We're also wired to learn and to adapt and to change and to grow and to take accountability and to redefine our own understandings of ourselves and what matters in life. So I just wanted to say that because I don't want to let anybody off the hook here because we're talking about somehow instinctual drives as if they're the defining thing and then we can use them to excuse behavior that is not helpful, particularly when it's addressed to complete other gender. Yeah.
I mean, that's appreciated. Thank you for that. Well, and it's, as you were saying that, it kind of comes to mind too, of how you were saying, like, you can learn to appreciate other things about like women that are older and that may not look like they're 22 and like all the perfect curves and everything. And there is another portion of it. And I'm not trying to like say like, oh, women have it so hard and poor us, but there is I have felt this. So I'm speaking just from my own personal experience that as I have noticed myself starting to age a little bit, my metabolism has slowed down a little bit. So I'm not as lean, I'm not as mean as I once was.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But I naturally am like, okay, well, if I'm not that, then what am I? And I'm like, okay, I need to be valuable. So I have learned how to present myself well, how to be confident, how to speak well, how can I be an engaging person to somebody else? And that alone is its own pressure. Is like, okay, if they're going to look at me and they don't see beauty, what else are they going to find that's valuable? Because like, if I can't take care of myself, if I don't walk in a room with confidence that people can just recognize right off the bat sense, then what do I have? I have nothing. I will be overlooked. And so then there's like that pressure of like, oh man, I really got to like make up for. Yeah. Which then I'm like, that's also really dumb.
Right.
Like, can I just live?
Right. Because you're dancing to somebody else's tune.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
But then, and I look at like the younger generations and I do not envy them at all because the atrocity that they go through right now with all like the social media at its heightened state of all the filters and all the face changing apps and telling yourself like, you need to completely paint your face every single morning because that's your confidence to walk out in the world is just crazy to me. I can't imagine growing up with that. Yeah. Before you even know who you are, you're sent all these messages. I was sent messages like that too. I just didn't buy into them. Right. I was buying into other stuff, but whatever it was. But I struggled, but I didn't struggle that much. Right. But there was messaging even like in my younger years when I was like bodybuilding and really strong and muscular. I was flat out told like verbatim, men do not like girls with muscles. No one will date you when you look that way. By someone very close to me. Ouch. Yeah. Ouch. So I went and lifted weights.
So you did it anyway.
I was like, screw you. Didn't ask for your opinion. And if they don't like me, then I wouldn't like them.
Right.
So, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It still hurts.
It was totally hurt. Like that knee-jerk like rah response was like me upset.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, why am I being told this? Like, I have to be like this young, docile, pretty little soft girl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because, I mean, what struck me in that article and what has struck me throughout our conversation here is there was something about this that was bugging me about this concept for both women and men, just this framework. Mm-hmm. And really what it comes down to is how one-dimensional and incomplete it is.
Yeah.
Right? And that doesn't sound like a deep statement, but let me explain what I mean by that. It's as if the only thing that is valuable for men or women in this world is to be desired and admired on something external that somebody else is defining. Their physical beauty in the case of women, and their usefulness, their abilities to provide in the case of men. That might make sense in the younger parts of life, right? But when we talk about menopause, we put that in the middle. We talk about middle age. We're talking about the middle of life. We're not talking about the end of life. We're talking about the middle of it. And that's why the social psychologist, developmental psychologist, Erik Erikson, is one of the few who actually talks about really what's the development of the second half of life really about. Right? Gerontologists talk about this too, but what I really like about his work is he offers a framework that builds off of that old one and then says, this is where the shift comes in. And maybe this is what that author in that Substack article was getting at. And that is the most successful, happiest people in the second half of life are the people who seem to find less and less value and less desire to be admired and desired, and have moved more towards contributing through mentoring, creating, being useful, right? So what would happen right now for any of us, for you, for me, Ashley, for anybody listening, if we reframed life less about being admired and desired and more about being useful and contributing? Because in the end, all those other things collapse, right? Women lose the ability to bear children. Everybody's skin changes. Everybody's bodies change. Everybody's ability to even provide and do hard work anymore, right? People's knees fall apart, their shoulders, they have injuries, right? Yeah. All these things, those things change. Income changes, strength changes, roles change, bodies change, children grow up, careers end. These are identity questions. What I'm talking about is a complete redefining. This is what Erik Erikson's talking about. Complete redefining about that. An identity doesn't have to be built around your creativity or what you contribute or how you mentor or how you spend your time. It doesn't have to be any of those things. It can be actually just you. In that sense, that's where I've always run into trouble with this notion of identity, because that's created too. You, Ashley, me, JD, Nathan sitting behind the board, all of you listening to all this, before you have an identity, you're you.
Right.
Whatever words can describe it or can't describe it, right? You asked it before, why isn't that enough? And I think in that article, she used an example of a woman, at the very beginning of the article, this woman who walked into a conference she was at, older, who just had that vibe of, I am beyond all of this. I'm not, looked good, but she was so striking. People were drawn to her because she was unburdened of all this stuff. She'd already worked past it, moved past it, and she was free in that sense. I would say she's free of this whole notion of what is my identity. Doesn't care anymore.
I would agree.
Yeah, that seems to me to be a much more effective way to live our lives than worrying about whatever these identity pieces are.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and like, I think sometimes the stress and the worry and the pressures come from in your 20s and 30s, 40s, and probably even into your 50s a bit, is because that value kind of paves the way, so to speak, of where you think life is going to take you. So if you have these abilities, if you are beautiful, if you stand out some way, doors are going to open for you.
Yeah.
Like, life is going to hand you things.
Yeah, it'll get easier.
Yeah, it'll get easier. People will see you and they're like, she's so valuable, I want to take care of her. I just want to make sure she's totally taken care of, and I want it to be me that does that. Or like women will look at men like, I want to be taken care of. That's the one that's probably going to do it for me.
Right.
And then they track that one down and try and steal him from somebody else.
And look what happens if that's where you stay. You stay there as those people inevitably change, physically, emotionally, every other way, economically. Then all of a sudden, those standards that all drew them together in the first place are no longer viable.
Yeah.
Right? Because they haven't been invested in the things that actually happen as you get older.
Well, that's why, like, I've always heard, like if you get married or if you have a partner for life, like they should be your standard of beauty. They should be, not whatever society says or what your innate by default is. Some people prefer blonde, some people prefer, brunettes or whatever your preference is, tall, short, whatever. And it's like, no, who your partner is, if you have one, that is your new standard.
Yeah.
And that's your standard for life, because as you're spending your life with them, their value grows so much.
Hopefully.
And it's not, well, yes. I mean, and it's not just because they sleep next to you and you wake up every day and they're there and they made lunch. But it's because you have bore witness to who they have evolved into, if they're the type that does evolve.
And you need two people doing the same thing.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's the gift, is you get to witness that.
Exactly. Okay, let's go ahead and take a break because I have some thoughts on this.
Oh.
Right? As not a surprise to you.
Shocker.
We're going to take our second break. When we come back, though, before we launch into this and start talking about some practical things you can do in your own life with this topic, we will have our weekly segment. This week it is the 2 Minutes of Terror. You're going to want to stick around for this one. We will see you back here in just a minute.
If you've been thinking about upgrading your home, this might be your sign.
We're proud to be sponsored by Pars Revive Renovation, serving Bellevue, the East Side, and the greater Puget Sound.
They specialize in turning everyday spaces into something functional, beautiful, and tailored to you.
From kitchens and bathrooms to full renovations, they bring the same level of care and attention to detail that we talk about here on Staying Power.
Because your environment matters. It shapes how you feel, think, and live.
Check them out at parsrenovation.com. That's P-A-R-S renovation.com and see what's possible for your home.
Most people wait until their relationships fall apart before they look for answers. But what if you could learn from the experts before the damage is done? On the Glenn Gilbert Connection, I sit down with psychologists, coaches, and real people who've lived through the fire, so you don't have to. If you're ready to lead with clarity, love with intention, and build something that lasts, tune in every 2 weeks on Sundays from noon to 1 p.m. for the Glenn Gilbert Connection, where grown folks come to grow.
Working hard to put a smile on your face. Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back to Staying Power. JD here with Ashley.
Hello.
We are talking about lots of stuff.
A spicy topic.
Spicy. Yeah, it's been good. In the spirit of spicy, let's add terror to the mix. And it is now time for our weekly segment where Ashley and I are going to take a couple minutes each to talk about something that happened this week, what we learned from it, and share a little bit about it with each other and with you for the sake of vulnerability, which is a key in building resilience and connection, which are the keys to building a better life. Here we go. 2 minutes of terror. That voice was in Nathan's head a minute ago and that wasn't working. Oh, no.
That was him doing a voiceover?
Yeah, and I didn't allow there to be dead air so he could just edit it out later. So sorry, Nathan, threw you under the bus there, but that was pretty good. All right.
It's okay. I picked him up.
It's all right. Okay.
All right.
Ashley, what was your terror this week?
So it is, what are we, in July? And it's, this is like the month of summer where it's really kicked off, right? Sun's out, 4th happened.
Sun's out, guns out.
Sure.
In
Most
my
people
case.
don't have guns anymore. It's very sad. Anyways, and the barbecues are rolling, the food is everywhere. Like people are just having a great time. You're out on a boat, you're going to shows.
Plus we had the World Cup this year, which added a whole other element to it. That was gnarly.
Always the sports with you. Anyways, so my terror is I've just kind of looked back over the month and I'm like, I've caught myself so many times eating things that I don't normally eat that are not good for me.
Oh.
And I don't know why this is a terror necessarily, but maybe just because I've had a short condensed period of I'm out trying like new things or whatever, but a lot of it's like not great, healthy food.
Right.
You know? But I'm like, oh, that looks really good. Like, let me try it. And then all of a sudden I'm like indulging in all this stuff. Now, there's nothing wrong with indulging, but you have to accept the fact it will change your physique.
Yeah, and you're gonna have to work through it.
Or your body may not like enjoy what you're putting in. So
I'm going to speak for all our listeners and say I want to know what some of these things are that you were indulging in.
Really?
I do.
We can talk about it. But anyway, so it was like good food. But at one point I was like, Ashley, you don't have to try like everything. Okay. Like there needs to be an end here. But I will say one thing I did try that was actually really good. Bombay Burgers in Seattle.
Really?
Yes. It was a mix between like burgers and Indian food. It was awesome.
Wow.
Yes.
Interesting.
I didn't even know the place existed.
Yeah.
And I found it because I was in Capitol Hill and I was hungry.
Must be really interesting. A burger place that's Indian influence.
Yes.
Considering beef is an interesting element.
It was very delicious. Anyway,
Awesome.
So if you're in the neighborhood. But
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That was good.
Free shout out to them. That's nice. Okay. Mine is a little more graphic than this. Okay. Now, you remember a few weeks ago, I told you.
With your short toilet?
No, not directly, but we're in the same neighborhood.
What's wrong with the shower?
No, it's not that neighborhood. Now that I have health insurance, I've had to sign up to do all the things I should have done when I was 50.
Are you having a colonoscopy?
I am having a colonoscopy.
Congrats!
Thank you. Yay.
They're not bad. I've had one.
Okay.
When I was 7.
You were 7?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I had to have a surgery.
Okay.
They had to do a colonoscopy to check things out.
Well, sure. That makes sense.
So,
but that's not an age-related
Sorry,
one.
not to steal your thunder.
No.
I'm excited for you, but they're not terrible.
Don't say thunder when it comes to come on.
I'm not stealing that. You can have all of it.
Yeah, finally did
down
it.
Under.
I put down under. The jokes write themselves when it comes to the bum. Okay, so yeah, that's my terror isn't so much about that because I've talked to enough people like you don't even, it's not even, that's not the problem.
No,
it's
not.
It's the prep.
Yeah, the prep's worse.
Yeah, the prep's worse. So
when is this?
I've got to go through. It's a little ways off
okay.
yet, but my terror was I finally did that. And my sister has been on me for years. She's like, you got to do this. 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 Almost every time I talk to her. So you booked it yet? No. So have you booked it yet? No. Have you booked it yet? No. When are you going to? I don't know. When are you going to? I don't know. When are you going to? Soon. Leave me alone. Will you shut up? Right?
Are you going to like make her like a little ticket voucher that says you get the ability to drive me to my appointment as like a gift?
She lives in another state, so she'd have to come and do that. But I tell you,
she'll fly over.
I tell you what she is going to get, and she's not going to have any choice. And I'm going to send her like a flash video of the whole thing and go, here, you get to experience this because you were bugging me. Here's proof that I did it. That's a little brother thing to do.
Need to see that.
It has nothing to do with her needing to see it. It has to do with her going to see it because that's what little brothers do.
You're still a little brother at 52?
Absolutely, I'm a little brother. I got to get my licks in where I can. Yeah.
Does she listen to this show?
She does.
Oh no,
she does.
Gonna know?
Maybe, but I can find different ways to get it to her. She won't expect it. My sister doesn't. If I send her something, oh my gosh, this is so funny. Right. And she'll think it's a meme or something and she'll open it up and all of a sudden she'll be like, what is this? And it's like, this is JD's colonoscopy. I'll do something like that. So then that'll be a triumph that I'll share.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
Anyway,
we need to have her on as a guest.
Oh, jeez. My sister is a guest. Oh, man. Story time. Yeah, it'd be fun.
That sounds like a birthday episode.
She's super
for you.
fun. She's super fun.
Yeah.
It's actually, if she came on here, she would crush. Because she's like a silent assassin. She is so smart. My sister is so smart and has like the best like underlying sense of humor where it's just like sliding the dagger in.
And she has you as her brother.
She
so
does.
Again, you would
I'm
not
a blunt instrument.
survive.
Yeah. She's an elegant ballerina in life. I'm a rock tumbling down a hill. That's the difference between the two of us. And I love her. Great. Anyway, okay. So Anne, if you're listening, I finally did it. So can you just please shut up now? Thank you. I love you. See you soon. Call Mom. She misses you. Okay. All right.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Can get back to things now? Okay,
Yeah.
that was interesting.
Compose the rock.
What were we talking about? All right.
Okay.
Okay, so here's Ashley, this is the interesting thing to me, talking about what's so interesting about getting older when these messages, we start to outlive them, right? And we start to notice that we are no longer in the prime as it's described, right, of these expectations. What's interesting is that we all, as we get older, and we can choose to start doing this anytime, but it's amazing how the people that are moving beyond those expectations tend to show more of the personality traits and qualities that we admire just in general. More perspective on life, more patience, better ability to listen, humility, discernment, wisdom. We laud all of those things. And yet, the people that tend to show those the most are the ones who've already moved past or are being seen to move past these things. So then becomes the question, isn't the sooner that we start thinking about those things, which leads to creativity, focusing on usefulness, mentoring, giving back, serving, all those things, cultivating different ways of doing things, enjoying beauty for the sake of beauty, right? The sooner we do that and start doing that in life, the sooner we can break free of those things that really, when you think about it, those expectations for women, those pressures for men, all they do is make us miserable because there's no discernible end to when you've actually proven that.
Very true.
There isn't. The goalposts keep getting moved, right?
Yeah, they do.
And, I remember my grandfather used to say to me all the time, well, there's always somebody with more money than you. There's always someone more pretty than you. There's always somebody more athletic than you, right? So the standard never can be met in the first place. And yet all those things I just put forward, perspective, patience, listening, humility, discernment, wisdom, there is no single definition of that. None. There's no moving goalposts. Those are what they are, right? Because they're unique to each person rather than this larger standard. And to me, that's what's interesting, Anna. So like, for example, instead of us asking, how attractive am I still? How successful am I? What if we started asking, what am I becoming? And that became the driving factor.
It's a great question.
Yeah. It changes it automatically for me, right? The question. I stopped worrying about those other things, right? One of the reasons why I think we do this show is because this is a show about what are we becoming.
Right.
We're exploring that in real time. Obviously. And, an interesting thing, we don't always know, right? To clue listeners in, viewers, we don't always know. We're just kind of going through life together and talking about it, right? And with different circles, right? We live different lives and, they intersect, they overlap because we're friends. But that's what's interesting about it is we're kind of just
bumping along,
right? Right. So it raises those larger questions. So when we talk about practical tools, Ashley, the first one that comes up to me is notice where your worth lives, right?
Oh, that's a good one.
Notice where your worth is. And so, for example, ask yourself this question. I feel most valuable when... My answer is I feel most valuable when I am sitting in a conversation with somebody and they are sharing something with me, whether it's a coaching situation or not, where they're sharing something with me because they want my perspective or they need a space to do that and I can provide that. That's when I feel most valuable. When do you feel most valuable? I know it's a surprise question.
I mean, no, just like when I'm helping people.
Yeah. When
I'm truly helping somebody either grow a little bit further into more of who they want to be.
That's a really good way to put it.
Is usually where I feel very, very good.
What's interesting is those answers have nothing to do with appearance, income, career, parenthood, performance, or approval. Those are the main drivers of those other ones, right? And then, of course, we ask ourselves, another question to ask ourselves is, what happens if my life changes? Something changes. I met a person the other day who about 5 years ago was in a really bad automobile accident. And not their fault, hit by a drunk driver. And they had been a fairly prominent person in kind of some pretty kind of high profile circles, right? Fashion, influencing, that type of thing. And the car accident changed them fundamentally, right? Physically, there were scars. Emotionally, there were scars. They lost the ability to move everything 100%, right, the way they could before. And I was talking with them about that, and they were one of those people who were sharing these things with me where I felt useful, right? Where I feel most valuable. And what they said was really interesting is there was an odd gift in that as they got past through the rehab, realized they were going to live, then had to confront the reality that things weren't going to be the same. That while there was some sadness with that, they also expressed the fact that they were liberated from all these expectations so much sooner in life and felt they could actually discover something about themselves that would be useful.
Oh, that's cool.
To them and to others, rather than just, hopefully staying current in social media, right? Which is, fame is what? We always talk about everybody gets 15 minutes of fame. It's like 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Because our attention spans are short.
Right.
So.
It's just interesting. And so it's something that I've always encouraged with my younger male clients is like, the sooner you can be discovering those things, hopefully without a major accident, the better off you might be. Because then you get to expand your portfolio of really who you are and what you're about. Right.
Oh, that's 100%. And that is something that I would encourage people to strive for, is to not pigeonhole yourself into one identity. Now, this happens a lot, I know, with women when they become a mother.
Yeah.
Right? They forget that they're a wife. They forget that they're an individual. They forget that they might be a daughter, a sister, have somebody they're a friend in a circle of people. And that's because their focus is, their whole point for a period of time is to keep this new little thing alive that is completely reliant on only them alone. So it's a big deal. But, it just, you can get stuck in that, and then you forget who you are. And how do you do life if you don't even know who you are? But I mean, that can also happen to men too.
Yeah.
They are only a COO. They are only a husband. They are only
an athlete.
Yes, an athlete and an artist or whatnot. And it's like, just don't forget who you are, and that there's so many things about you that make you you. And maybe there aren't. Maybe you haven't done a lot to grow yourself. And you literally are only the occupation that you are and the role that you play in your home. And if that is it, I would question, are you happy and satisfied and feel fulfilled? I guess the answer is probably no.
Probably no. Because those things always change. They can change. And in the end, those identity things, and that's true, right? Identities, and how, for lack of a better term, these can change over time, right? We're all lots of things. Ashley and I both have identities, I guess, in our workplace. We do podcasts. I write. You whoop people's asses on the mats on a regular basis. You're a daughter. I'm a son. I'm an uncle. I'm a writer. We have all these things. Then we have the things that we like, right? We have the things that we do. We have the things that we dream about. We have the things that we notice, right? We have the traits that show up. And that's what's funny. Identity in some ways has to be visible, for other people to talk about your identity or for us to talk about it.
Yeah.
When so much of what defines us is what's happening when nobody's watching.
Oh, 100%.
I
mean, that's who you really are.
It's really who you are. Right. Exactly. So to me, I think that big question, like you just said, what happens when we stop focusing so much on the validation and we start focusing more on what's inspiring, on the inspiration of things? Okay. Wow. We run out of time already?
We've run out of time.
Holy cow.
Mark. That was a great episode.
Wow.
Thanks for laughing along with us.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks for sitting with that. Yeah, and thank you so much, Ashley, for bringing that in. And we'll put the link for that in the show notes for that piece. I think it'd be good for people to read. All right. Well, thank you again for joining us for this episode of Staying Power. We'll be back next week. Be sure to send us a note, stayingpowershow@gmail.com, or find us in the show notes wherever you get your podcasts, or on our YouTube channel, or at the website for 1150 AM, KKNW. Thanks again to PARS Revive Renovation. You can find them at PARS Renovation, PIRS, renovation.com, for sponsoring Staying Power. Check them out. Make sure you mention us to them when you contact them and see what happens. Thanks so much to them for your support. Thank you for your support. Thank you, Nathan, behind the board. Thank you, everybody. We'll be back next week with another episode. We hope to see you then. I am JD.
I'm Ashley.
We will see you soon, everybody. Take care.